Every August, principals from around the city of Philadelphia come together for a week-long series of meetings called our Leadership Convening. These meetings are put on by the central office of the school district, and the purpose is really for the central office to tell principals what the new initiatives and new priorities are that we at the school level are going to have to bring to life every school year. This is now my 7th year participating in these meetings, and every year I feel the same feeling when this Monday rolls around: anxiety. Today I was talking with a principal colleague and he actually used the word dread. He said, "Rob, I feel dreadful when this leadership convening rolls around." And I wonder why. Why is that? We are a city, a public education system in which just 1/3 of our students know how to read proficiently, whereas statewide in Pennsylvania, that number is 75%. So we are underperforming for the students in our city. But every year we are coming together to learn, to get better, and it is not working. My 18 years in education, reforms have always been laser focused on helping principals and teachers get better at their job, holding them more accountable. Well, today I want to posit that the root cause of much of our failure in public education is actually much deeper. It is actually related to what I spoke about last week, the subculture misalignment within the school district, and particularly the misalignment between central office, the mid-level, and the school-based operator level. Today in my speech, I'm going to first go over what I spoke about last week, which is Edgar Skeen's three generic subcultures that exist in many organizations. And then I'll give you some examples of how those subcultures are misaligned in the school district of Philadelphia. And finally, I'll close out with some ideas for how we can improve as a school district. Well, let's begin with Skeen's 3 generic subcultures. Skeen talks about 3 generic subcultures that exist in just about every organization: the executive level, the engineer level, and the operator level. If we were talking about a company like Ford, we might say that the executives are the chiefs, the chief financial officer, the chief executive officer that set the vision and allocate money for the organization. The engineers are those who design the cars. Say if the all-electric fleet that they're going to create in 10 years, the engineers are the ones who have to figure out how the batteries will fit and how the cars will charge. And then at the operator level, you have the folks at the plant who actually build the vehicles. Well, those same 3 levels exist in a school district as well. We have our chief academic officer, our superintendent that set the vision for the school district. And then at the mid-level, at that engineer level, we have lots of central office administrators, engineers, who work on programs for special education, for transportation, for athletics, and for curriculum. And then at the school level, we have lots of principals and teachers who are tasked each year with iterating on those strategies and initiatives that those central office folks create. So those are the 3 generic subcultures and how they might exist in a school district. Well, let me talk specifically about how the misalignment between central office and schools actually occurs. In Philadelphia, this May, for example, the school district unveiled a plan to create a staggered transportation schedule for all of its schools, meaning that every school would have a new start time next year. Well, this is an example of the school district allowing transportation, not its core product instruction, to drive its programming. You see, at my school, Ziegler, just 6% of our students actually take the bus, but we now have to shift our entire school schedule 1 hour earlier in the day, meaning our families are going to have to figure out how to get their students from kindergarten all the way up through 8th grade to school at 7:30 a.m. All of our staff are going to have to figure out new childcare options as well. This is an example of really a misalignment between the central office prioritizing transportation over the product that we have to deliver to families, which is instruction. Another example, curriculum. This year, the school district is revamping its curriculum in English and in math. This is now the 2nd time in the last several years that the district has done this. We're just a few years removed from a brand new curriculum rollout, meaning that teachers are now going to have to scrap everything that they worked on over the last 5 years and learn something new. And in fact, the research tells us that it's not the curriculum, it's rather how dedicated schools are to implementing curriculum with really high fidelity that actually improves outcomes for students at the school level. But again, this is an example of the central office being misaligned with what schools actually have to deliver on. And as a result, we are set up for failing students. So how do we improve this misalignment between central office and schools? How do we make sure that we are on the same page? How do I make sure that my visual aid here actually stays on? Well, we don't need the visual aid, we can just turn that off. Well, there's a couple things that we can do. First, Skeen says that organizations that do this really well, that have really well aligned subcultures, they make sure that there is communication through all three subcultures. So what this could look like in the school district or at any other organization would be steering committees. So instead of departments in the central office designing initiatives in a silo, each department would have a steering committee comprised of principals and teachers from around a very large and diverse district who would come together and help design these new initiatives and new strategies that we are going to roll out in particular school years. We could design 5-year plans. By having a steering committee, you now improve communication throughout all three of those generic subcultures, the operators, the engineers, and the executives. Skeen also says that the smartest organizations are those that are committed to learning at the operator level. And this is something that we don't do a good enough job of at our school district. We have lots of data on individual schools that tell us which schools are doing a really great job and which may not be. We need to be mining that data, figuring out what's working at individual school levels, and then talking to those individual principals and teachers to figure out what's working and to expand it across the district instead of just designing new initiatives and strategies in silos and then rolling them out to schools. This is my 18th year in education. I have experienced 18 years of new initiatives and new reforms that have led to what I have seen stagnant student achievement in my career. I know that we can do better. A functioning democracy needs a well-educated citizenship in order to function properly. And right now we are underperforming as a public school district and under-delivering on that promise. I think with more alignment, with more alignment between our subcultures, by focusing on what that central office is doing, what those engineers are creating, and making sure that they're more aligned with school levels, we can improve outcomes, and I can feel more hopeful and less dreadful during these leadership convenings. Thank you.